Liu Xin is the host of the news and opinion program The Point on news channel CGTN or China Global Television. She joins me now from Beijing. It's nice to have you with us.
Thank you for the invitation again.
You've described Nancy Pelosi on your program as being vain and opportunistic. Why use that language?
Well, I think that's exactly who she is and what she has shown to the world, especially to the Chinese people. She is out there for show. She's very theatrical. She does it for herself. She did the whole thing for her own legacy, however she defines it. She wants to look tough. She wants to go away as being the top-ranking U.S. politician to ever visit the island, female politician. And, she does that without consideration for any possible consequences for the people of Taiwan, for U.S.-China relations.
You said she was sneaking into Taiwan. I just want to look at that language. It was hardly sneaking, was it, Liu Xin? This was announced for months. She flew in. There was no hiding away. There was no hiding of her intention. This was not someone sneaking into Taiwan.
Well, definitely she was keeping it quite secretive before the last moment. I mean, nobody knew exactly, well, at least in public, she never confirmed this trip. Nobody ever knew for the record whether she was going there. It was until her plane started to turn north after turning east from her previous destination that we know for sure that she was going to land in Taiwan. Why? I think the reason is very clear. She knew she's doing something that is very fishy, that is very bad. That's why she doesn't want to make it public.
She was intending to go in April. It was pushed back. There was a lot of discussion within the United States about the whys and wherefores of her visit, whether she should in fact go. But doesn't she have the right to go? Taiwan elects its own government. There are relationships, not formally diplomatic, but there are relationships between the United States and Taiwan. Didn't she have the right to visit Taiwan?
Of course not. She's the number 3 politician in the U.S. government, and the United States made the pledge as early as in the 1970s not to recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state, that Taiwan is part of China, that the government in the People's Republic of China is the sole legal government of China.
Well, there is ambiguity about that. As you know, there is a one-China policy. There is a one-China policy and strategic ambiguity around that.
181 countries in the world. Ask 181 countries in the world. By the way, that's the absolute majority of members of the international community, whether there are 2 Chinas, whether there's one China, one Taiwan, or whether there is one China, they all will tell you there is only one China. There's absolutely, including Australia, there's absolutely no ambiguity.
Well, we know there is ambiguity around how that relationship is played out, the relationship between Australia, the United States, Taiwan. We know that there is a recognition of that autonomy, even if there is not a recognition of a separate status. But I want to ask you this, Liu Xin. Why does it, to explain to our audience, why does it matter to China so much? Would it have been possible for China to ignore this visit? If indeed, as you say, there is a one-China policy and Taiwan, in the eyes of Beijing, belongs to Beijing, why does it matter?
Let me help you understand if you don't by now. I see the whole matter as a person with an open wound near the heart, okay? And that open wound, this person is China, of course. That open wound has been the issue of separation, of an issue of secessionist or Taiwan independence. And this is an open wound that has been there since 73 years, and it's been bleeding all the time. It hurts because that's the most tender part of the Chinese emotions, identity. People across the straits, they came from the same family. They share the same culture, the same language, the same way of life, the same heritage, you name it. But for 73 years, they've been separated. And then here comes this lady saying, oh, what is a big deal? It is my right to put some salt, some extra salt on it so that, I can go away looking at, look, I poked China in the eye. I'm the most hated person in China, and I can go away being proud of that title. But what does it do to China? Does it help that wound heal, or does it make people suffer more? I mean, I'm getting very emotional talking about it because for her, for these people, probably it's nothing, right? But for us, it's a huge deal. And that's what matters. Perception is what matters.
Is the wound healed, Liu Xin, by increasing military exercises, in ramping up that pressure?
Well, then don't put your finger into that wound. Don't put salt on it, because then it will be more painful.
But Xi Jinping
then we
had
will
increased...
jump. We will say, ouch, and probably strike back and stop it. Right?
When you talk about striking back, we know that Xi Jinping had said, and he's increased that rhetoric in recent years, that if necessary, then Taiwan, in his words, will be reunified by force. How does that heal a wound to talk about war?
I tell you, China is the last person to hurt itself, if my metaphor stands, okay? You heal that wound by letting it heal, by not opening it, by not putting salt on it, by letting your body recover, okay? And China does not want to shoot itself, because we are brothers and sisters. We don't want to fight each other. That's the last thing. That's the last thing. So help China instead of force China to use force. We don't want to go to war, but by ratcheting up the level of relationship between the United States and Taiwan, or between any other sovereign country with Taiwan, you are making it more and more difficult for China to stay calm and not to use military force. That's just so simple, isn't it?
Is this what we are seeing now, Liu Xin, that we are drifting ever closer to war? Do you believe that is a possibility right now?
If people keep their promises, if people use a little bit of common sense and say, okay, we made that promise, we are not going to break our own promise, and we're not going to poke China for whatever purposes, this is not going to happen. I tell you, the Chinese, we don't want war. We want to have money. We want to build home. We want to go on holidays. We want to enjoy life for goods from Australia. Why not go to the Great Barrier Reef and have fun? We don't want to war. We don't want people to die at our doorstep, that our brothers and sisters die. But don't make us do that. Don't make us do that.
We're looking at your program and the program on Nancy Pelosi and the visit. It pointed out, in your view, the hypocrisy. It was very critical of Nancy Pelosi. But in terms of journalistic balance in this, there was no discussion about what Xi Jinping's intentions may be, the threat of war, the increased military exercises. Isn't that also part of this equation? And why wasn't that in the program that you prepared?
Well, we were talking about the person that Pelosi was. And
but it's
so
not just about
I go
Nancy
into
Pelosi,
that.
is it? It's also about what China does in terms of journalism,
without
being just propaganda. Is it also not to show the other side?
Yeah, we show the other side, and the world knows the other side. They watch your program, they watch program on BBC, on CNN, all on Fox, on Sky News. They watch all of the. Where is the other side? But yeah, I thank you, Stan, for inviting me on your show to give me that voice. I thank you for that. Okay, and we do that same. We do the same. We have other voices, other opinions on our show as well. But our primary responsibility is to let out the Chinese perspective. And what I did was precisely how the Chinese people, how we in the Chinese media see Pelosi as a politician. And that's what we did.
And it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. The invitation is always open, Liu Xin, as you know. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Stan, once again.